Welcome to those who joined us today for the public session of our board. A reminder to those of our board members who are on Zoom to stay muted as and when you can put your hand up and we'll bring you in. Good afternoon to everyone and welcome to this first accountability session for 2022. Welcome to our new appointments. It's been a busy number of weeks since we last met, with the board progressing and confirming 4 new appointments to the Chief's leadership team. And the last position of ACO, People and Organisational Development, has now been advertised, so very shortly we will have the full senior team in place. One appointment away, I should say, from completion of structure. And whilst we're undoubtedly pleased with the appointments made, as a board we're deeply concerned that there were no female applicants for the ACC positions. This is something I know, Chief, that we have already spoken about, but diversity representativeness at all levels of the organisation is essential. And whilst there's been a range of positive actions over the last number of years, more needs to be done to increase diversity in the pool of applicants for future positions. There have been positive moves on the staff side of the House in terms of both male and female appointments, but on the officer side, that was the one disappointment that was there. Over the course of December and through January, I, along with the Vice Chair and the Chair of Resources Committee, have had a series of meetings and discussions with you and your team, also with the Department of Justice and indeed with the Chair of the Justice Committee on the outworking of the proposed budgetary settlement. We're some way short of what is needed. We know the financial pressures faced in our health service and across the public sector as a whole, pressures which are not assisted by the rising cost of living across society. We also know that the funding gap can't currently be bridged without reducing headcount, and there will be questions in relation to that later on in the meeting. We've discussed at length the consequences of reducing numbers, but also how budget pressures on other parts of the public sector will likely have a knock-on effect on demand on policing. So to conclude, as a board, we support your position of protecting the establishment levels that we have, but also being pragmatic at this time with a slightly longer term ambition of reaching the 7,500 officers. We also know the funding streams are complex, so there may be an opportunity to provide some clarity around this as well. In your report today, Chief Constable, updates are provided on a range of operations to improve safety and the numbers of calls taken, which are the everyday, real-life, real-time calls for policing help. Just before Christmas, we were updated on the PSNI plans in response to violence against women and girls. The murder of Aisling Murphy sent shockwaves across the community and refocused attention on actions and community assurances needed. So it's welcome that the Executive has published a consultation on a new domestic and sexual abuse and violence against women and girls strategy. Also welcome to read the updates in your report around advocacy measures in place to support victims, and that training has been rolled out to officers so that they understand new legislation that will criminalise abusive behaviour. On spit and bite guards, which is a subject of significant debate and scrutiny over the last 2 years by the board and the members of the Performance Committee, today, the board have agreed that the continued use of spit and bite guards by the Chief Constable will be subject to an agreed governance framework that will be reviewed on a regular basis, and I will be writing to you with the specifics around all of that after this meeting. The report also we also received a report from the Human Rights Advisor, and I thank John Wadham for the work that he's done on that, highlighting the key elements that will need to be taken into account in developing drafting a governance framework. These specifically, but not exclusively, include the use on children and vulnerable people, the possibility of greater opportunities for de-escalation, the use once a subject has already been restrained, and officer training and differences in use in relation to community background. So to be clear, the board position is very much subject to this oversight framework being developed and agreed. And finally, before I give you the opportunity to speak, step forward this week in terms of the new rollout of practical uniforms for officers. Things don't always move quickly, but the slow boat has arrived with the uniforms on board. So well done to all involved from that, and they do look well. And Finn, who is in the background of our meeting, has assured me they're very comfortable as well. So well done for that. So we have lots of questions to cover today, Chief, but before we move to those, just if you could highlight some of the things from your report.